And welcome back into a brand new episode of Tribal Council Chat. As always, we're your host. My name is Bruce Heller.
And my name's Brett Parnell.
And let's dive in. So, we have our first Survivor 48 episode of the pod this week, as during this past week, the day before we were going to record a different episode, the 48 cast release hit.
Yeah, that
So,
was certainly not expected to come this early, but hey, always more exciting to start talking about a new season.
yeah, this is a lot earlier than it usually comes.
I mean, I guess it makes sense to an extent from a social media perspective. Like, we just had the third round, so like if they did it in 2 weeks, it would get tied up with the Super Bowl. And
Yeah, for sure. And so, oh, as always, we have as we've done with our past cast releases, we have the EW Entertainment Weekly cast release with the questionnaires they had everyone fill out. So, do you just want to start from the top of the list?
absolutely. So what we're gonna do, we've done this before. We're just gonna start at the list, give our initial reactions to each player. It's gonna be a little different this year, as I think Bruce and I are on the same page that we're tired of losing the fantasy pool. We're gonna be giving out our winner picks at the fantasy draft and not at the cast uh, release, because that kind of gives our opponents easier time to prepare, and we don't know anything about who they're thinking is going to win.
Yeah, and to be fair, this is how we did it with 46 too. Last season, I'm like, hey, we did this with 45. Let's do this. And I forgot that we had changed it when we started doing the draft. And that's how I got extorted. Well, not extorted, but I received a text from Kevin saying, because he listened and he knew my winner pick, and said, "You better hope I don't pick before you." And I was not extorted, but I was threatened. There was no like ask of money, so it wasn't extortion, but
Yeah.
I did not appreciate it. So,
And that's how also, meanwhile, I just screwed with you guys all day and pretended I was going to take the third pick to grab the first pick, but then said that my winner pick was Sam, even though my first pick was Genevieve, and wanted to see how much chaos I could create in this draft at the
a
same time.
lot of chaos you did. The draft had the same result as the one before it.
Yep.
Good job causing chaos. Do better. Uh, all right. So, do you want to go ahead and take it
Sure.
with our first person?
So we're gonna start with the first person. This is Stephanie. If you're following along on the Entertainment Weekly article, that's the order we're going in. She's 38, currently lives in Brooklyn, but says her hometown is New York City. I just get a kick out of that. That
Isn't
Brooklyn is,
Brooklyn part of New York City?
if you talk to somebody from Manhattan or the Bronx, Queens, Jersey, yes. If you talk to someone from Brooklyn, no.
Oh, get over yourself. It's the same city. They're all boroughs of the same thing.
You're
I
not wrong.
guess I get it. I've heard enough people that claim St. Louis but don't want to claim being from Missouri. So I'm not one of those. I claim being from both. But oh, that's funny. Anyways,
So, Stephanie describes herself as ambitious, outgoing, and resilient. She wants to be part of Survivor because she loves the game and says it's such a unique opportunity to be in. Um, Life experience that was important. This combined with another one of her answers I thought was interesting. She says it was teaching middle school in New Orleans as part of a Teach for America program. I'm assuming this was right after Hurricane Katrina, that she went to teach in places that needed, when New Orleans needed assistance. And then later down in the article, she also says, if I find it, that one of her favorite hobbies is making elaborate Mardi Gras costumes. So
oh,
I'm
that's
like,
funny.
this could be a very big cross between someone who's looks like they grew up and still lives in the Northeast, but has really embraced the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, for sure. Her answer to what she values in an alliance partner, which is one of the first two questions I look at on this, is funny because, like, slang wise, with I'm gonna say people our age, but you're a lot older than me, so I mean, people our age is like tea means like gossip or information, like the
Yeah.
Kermit the Frog. She said she wants someone who puts the T in loyalty and spells TEA, like the drink, like the slang term. And
See,
that,
I didn't even get that that was a slang term until I became a challenge fan, and then it was just like the number two or three word in the vocabulary.
yeah. And Deal or No Deal Island, it like has a thing with iced tea for some reason too.
Yeah.
No idea why or what it has to do with anything about that game, but there was a vat of iced tea on the last episode of that.
Hey, maybe we'll find out near the end of the season or something.
Did you catch that though? The like vat of
Yeah,
it's so funny.
that was.
She also like for the question of what player she identifies most or
I
who's
knew
the
you would like
most.
this one.
Well, it's just interesting to me because like she does the thing some people do of naming multiple players,
Yeah,
and but she starts off by saying, "I don't know if there's ever been a player quite like me," which I love.
yeah,
Hopes to have Natalie Anderson's fierceness and Jam Jam's humor and strategy, all while forging her own path. That's a solid answer. I like when the people say they want to play their own game and not completely be like someone else.
yeah, for sure. As do I. I think that it's smart. I'm not sure when she says like Natalie's fierceness and Jam Jam strategy, that might be a bit overkill because they're two winners. So obviously they're top tier at those elements. But I mean, we'll see how it
Mm.
works.
Who was it last year though? The last season that said they wanted to play like Tony and someone else, and like the two names didn't match up together at all.
Oh, I am gonna have to look that up. But there's an even later in this cast, there's an even auto pair coming up that we'll talk about in terms of two names that just don't match.
I think I read that yesterday. I remember thinking that, but I don't remember who it was or what the pair was. So we'll have fun when we get to that.
Yeah.
So next up, oh gosh. Okay, I'm gonna guess at this pronunciation unless you know it.
I'm gonna just scroll down. Sauhin, I think.
Shahin Davari is what I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, Davari. This is interesting. I'm not sure if this last name is either Indian or Jewish.
Huh. Well, he's from California. Half this,
That could be either one.
I saw a video yesterday of like introducing the cast and people. Someone was like saying their names and where they're from, and I feel like half this cast is from Cali.
Oh,
There's a bunch of
that
Cali people in this
that's
cast.
not a good sign because when that happened, it was called Survivor Fiji, and it's my least favorite season of all time.
I thought Nicaragua was your least favorite.
No, Fiji first, Nicaragua second.
Oh, I was close.
Yeah, you were close.
He's from East Bay, California, but his current residence is in Costa Mesa, California. No clue how far apart those are. He is a debate professor, which is an interesting job for this game. Describes himself as charismatic, driven, and clever. Again, an interesting combination of three words. Says he wants to play like Penner, and I love that.
Yeah.
I'm expecting great confessionals from him solely because of that answer. What are some things to stick out to you with our friend here?
Just before we get into that, I looked it up. It was Sue last season who gave the combo of Tony and Sui. I don't think she did either one very well at all.
No, Sue played like a rock and didn't do anything.
Well, rock that's covered in red paint. But
Yeah, but yeah,
um I like this here that he says one of his pet peeves is inability to see the big picture. I think that could be an interesting answer in a question that usually makes me think that people won't be good at the game. That could be very helpful in the tribal phase, especially.
yeah.
Is someone who's focused on the task at hand and not every fine detail that's completely pointless.
Yeah, he being able to see the big picture and think 2 or 3 rounds ahead is huge in this game.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
and this is interesting here. And what do you value in an alliance partner? He says, I need a strategist. I have all kinds of harebrained ideas, and I need someone to tell me I'm stupid,
I
call me out,
found
and better my ideas into solid plans.
I found this odd that he says he needs a strategist, but that he also says one of his favorite hobbies is chess and that he'll play like Jonathan Penner. No, if you're giving us these answers, you're the strategist.
No, not apparently he's not. He can still be he can still be Penner confessional wise. I feel like he's gonna be.
Oh, he could.
But yeah.
Though
Also,
I do like that I think he's probably going to play a very like Jeremy strategy here, where he says strategically competent without being over the top. That could easily have him work with people who that are also strategists and he could get them sent home.
yeah. And also the question for favorite hobbies. He gives a big long list. The first of which is learning new hobbies, which is
That's funny.
just fantastic. This guy seems like he's gonna be fun.
Non-contact sports, we need to get like one of those old challenges back that forces him to like have a showdown against somebody on the first day.
No. Non-contact sports. I'm too fragile for contact sports.
Welcome to Survivor.
Yeah. So, yeah. So that is I like him. I think he's going to be really fun.
Yeah, I
I'm
agree.
kind of I could either see him going really far in the game or going early. I'm not sure what to read game wise, but entertainment wise, he's going to be great.
Yes. All right, next we have Eva Erickson. She currently lives in Providence, Rhode Island, but is originally from Minnesota, is 24, PhD candidate. So I guess somewhere in Rhode Island, probably. She says that she was this is interesting, the first and only female to play men's hockey at Georgia Tech. And now she's the captain of the men's team at Brown University. I don't know if that's because it's an Ivy League school, so I doubt anybody plays hockey, but
Yeah.
very impressive.
And college
Um,
hockey is growing though.
oh, it is.
A school in the St. Louis area over in St. Charles named Lindenwood University that just became D1 a couple of years ago won
Yeah.
a hockey game against your college.
Oh, wow, nice.
They beat Notre Dame last week or the week before.
Interesting.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Shout out
Um,
to Lindenwood.
I think this makes perfect sense that one of the previous players that she says she'll play like is Lindsay.
Yeah.
I mean, everything we've seen there with like her men's hockey experience, that reminds me perfectly of Lindsay growing up from what she gave us. And she turned out to be one of the new era's top women when it came to the physical game. I could easily see Eva playing very similar. She also says Denise, so that's interesting. I'm not quite sure how to lead Denise into a game of somebody who's in her early 20s at this point.
It
I
means
think
that
a
when
big
there's
part of Denise's game was the fact that she was the one with life experience in a tribe that just sucked.
it means that when there's an eating challenge, she's not going to be able to eat the little egg thing they had in China.
It
And of
also,
course, for the audience, I wronged Denise. I did that on purpose, but
yeah, it also means that she's gonna decide to leave the winner in the game and vote out Sandra instead.
which is a great dramatic move. But I still maintain that was a terrible move.
It was a terrible move.
But
Um,
yeah,
Accomplishments she's most proud of. She talks about working hard through every aspect of life and reaching her PhD, her hockey career, refereeing career, and all of the hard work that she's put in at this age. Something that we'll never know about her, or that we wouldn't know from looking at her. She says she's autistic. This is very interesting. I'm just trying to think, has there ever been anyone that told us at least that they were autistic on Survivor before?
probably. Oh, I don't
There's
know.
gotta have been at some point. Maybe they didn't say it, but I mean, hey, she might be a first.
Yeah, for sure. One thing I like here and I'm looking forward to is let me find it. Oh, what she values in an alliance partner. She says loyalty. I'm a very loyal person, and I intend to form strong alliances I can trust. I don't intend to play a game of blindsiding those who trust me. I want to find a number one to stick with through and through. And I love that. We haven't had this for a little while of just a strong duo from day one till the end. The new era has
Yeah,
been like we were already kind of in this era of big moves and resumes from like Sierra Easton coming into the game forward, but the
yeah,
new era has kind of taken that up a level. So I'd love to see this. I'd love to see her just form a duo with someone and those two go all the way to the end.
yeah. I would like to see that. It would be interesting. I'm not sure in this modern game if she'll be able to play that way all the way to the end because in order to have that duo, you need somebody, say, on the other half of the duo to be willing to play the exact same game. But
I guess we had Lindsay and Julie. That I mean, not Lindsay, Dee and Julie. That
D'Angeli,
kind of
yeah,
count,
yeah, that's a close one.
but yeah. So
And today, it's just the game is meant to be so divisive that if people will only stay together until they think that whoever is in the alliance might beat them.
uh-huh.
So it'll be interesting to see how she approaches that. I think it's one that could work at least through the first like 2/3 of the game, but after that, it might be a bit more challenging.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I really hope this strategy works for her. I want to see somebody play this game and just
Yeah,
take a duo from beginning to end.
true. Do you want me to get into the next player too?
Yeah.
All right. So next we have Kyle Fraser. He's 31. He grew up in Virginia, but he also gives his hometown is Brooklyn specifically. Might there be a Brooklyn duo on this season?
Maybe. Aren't they both
Cut.
attorneys also?
Oh, that's a good
Let me
question.
look it
Let
up.
me s
Where's the other
No,
one?
Stephanie is a tech project lead,
That's right.
but still, I mean, that's certainly unique. Um, he says this is interesting. Life experience that prepared him for the Survivor. He taught courses in a general education program at a juvenile detention center.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
I love that. I
and
can't wait to hear about that.
that will be very interesting. It's funny here right below. He says, "I found ways to connect with people, and I'm proud of that." Although, as he also puts, learning academics wasn't really front of mind for most of the students.
Yeah.
I can see that.
So, and I do
Um,
like the player he plays wants to play like he gives two.
yeah,
He gives reasons for both. He says number one is Davy because he was unabashedly himself and the lightest stereotypes, and he noted that were constantly forced on him as a black man. And number two, he says Jay. I think Jay is one of the most underrated Survivor players ever, especially given the obstacles that he faced in a season with a very strong cast.
yeah.
This is an interesting two players here.
It is an interesting two players. I don't think they're too far off that they're two players that you realistically could study and format a decent game off of. Neither
Yeah.
one of them won, but they both went very deep into the game. Um, just be make sure it's Jay the survivor player and not Jay the challenge player.
What if it's there was another Jay on Survivor, wasn't there?
There's gotta have been at some point.
Jay Byers, I think his name was.
Yeah,
One I'm gonna guess One World. Let me look it up.
that would make sense. I mean, as far as I remember, the One World cast is Kim Spradlin, Kat Arusin, um, a couple
Bill.
of a couple of guys who called themselves Tarzan and Troyzan, and that's about all I can remember.
I remember Bill because
That's
a
right.
certain other person that I know you remember told Bill to get a real job because Bill was.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to forget about that guy.
Yes, but you can't. And if I can't, you don't. You're not allowed to. You have to suffer with me.
That's
Also,
fair.
shout out to the first time Kevin was on the podcast with both of us. And for a line blindside first boot, I gave him Rob Zabachnik, Nayanka, and Colton. So that's fun. I
Yeah,
still have in my camera roll the video of him reacting to that, which is funny. But yeah, definitely Jay the Survivor player who's good at the game he plays, and not the challenge player who, in my opinion, isn't great at the game he plays.
no, he's only good at doing one elimination against CT
But
when CT is an old man who's out of shape at this point.
he, but see, you say that, but 2 seasons later, the next season and the season after, CT wins two straight. So
I
I
didn't
don't
say
feel
he
like
was always out of shape. I said he was out of shape at that exact moment.
true, but the two wins weren't that far
Oh
afterwards.
no, they were well, COVID.
37, he was in a lot better shape and thinner.
Yes,
36,
was
I
he
feel like
ever?
he, 36, I feel like he was in the same shape he was in on 35.
Oh,
But yeah, his favorite hobby, I love this. He says playing with his dogs. I also love that. And house plants and the gym. Okay, I have to read his pet peeves for you guys
yeah, go ahead.
because one of them makes sense and one of them I'm confused by. Uppity people who look down on others and styrofoam. What's wrong with styrofoam?
I'm going to assume that maybe um Kyle is an environmentalist.
That would track. He listed houseplants as a hobby.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm reading off of him. I
But
mean,
why are you singling that one thing out? Why not like plastics or non-environment friendly materials? Why are we singling out styrofoam of all things? So funny to me. I love that.
up here in Canada, I rarely ever see styrofoam because it's pretty hard to get your hands on for that exact reason.
Most of the time I see styrofoam is in takeout boxes from restaurants.
Yeah, that we've changed all that.
Yeah, those are starting to be plastic now.
And the other thing I found really interesting is his accomplishment that he says he's most proud of, that he argued and won a jury trial.
Wow,
Final. Whoa. Watch out.
that's relevant. So, moving on, we have Mitch Guerra. is how I'm gonna pronounce his last
That's
name.
right. Yo hablamos poquito español.
Okay. Mitch is 34. His hometown and current residence are Waco, Texas. He's a PE coach. Lists himself as joyful, relational, and competitive. This guy's going to be fun TV based on those three words.
Yeah.
I love this. Why do you want to be a part of Survivor? I want to prove myself that my speech impediment doesn't limit me
Hmm.
and that I can come out here and compete with anyone. I love
Yeah.
that. Like
I love
that's
that too.
so cool.
I mean, we've seen before people notably like not a speech impediment directly, but Christy and Amazon struggle with a disability for the first few days, but ended up going to like day 31.
I was about to mention Christy because I finally finished rewatching Amazon last night. Or that I had stopped in the middle of rewatching it, so it took me months and months to finish the rewatch. But yeah, okay, this one,
You texted me the picture of the shelter burning down. That's why I remembered about Christy in this exact moment.
yeah, it also. And then last night I texted that we need Butch, who started that big fire, on a tribe with fireman Mike Turner. So Mike can teach Butch about fire safety. I would watch that scene.
Yeah, so would I.
Honestly, like he gets crap for the fire, but Butch was kind of a funny character, honestly.
Yeah, he
But
was.
the players Mitch identifies with and wants to play with, he gives three. I resonate with Spencer Bledsoe and Joe Anglim because of their competitiveness and love for the game. And John Cochran, the second time he played, he wasn't afraid to make moves. He played to win when others probably underestimated him. That is quite the group of three names he just listed.
Yeah, that is quite a group. Uh,
Spencer, Joe Anglim, and Cochran.
certainly, I mean, Cochran, smart. Spencer and Joe, certainly some divisive names in the Survivor community, as we've already seen from this answer on social media.
I knew Joe was. I just learned that Spencer was with the social media reaction to these answers.
So that's always interesting to give those names. Um, he says in an alliance partner, he values someone that's easy to talk to and listens well. That's very smart.
Yeah,
You especially the fact that he mentions both because you need both skills, not one or the other.
yeah. So, an accomplishment he's proud of. He's a first generation college student, which is super cool. And
Yeah.
graduated from Texas A&M. And something we would never know from looking at him is that he loves endurance sports. He started running 2 years ago, and since then, he's done his first half marathon,
Wow.
full marathon, 20-mile trail race, and Ironman 70.3.
So he's going to be hoping that there's some very long challenges in this where he can pace himself and outplay the rest of the cast.
I feel like I would know this from looking at him, though. He's a PE coach, first of all, and second of all, he looks like he's in pretty good shape. This
Yes.
isn't that surprising,
No, that's not surprising at all.
which isn't, I think instead of telling us something we wouldn't know from looking at him, he just listed something about him. But either way, that's cool.
Yeah.
And why he will be the sole survivor, he says, because of his ability to build relationships with people. I'm non-threatening and can use that to my advantage in the game, and I thrive in a little chaos. When things get challenging is when I thrive. I like that answer.
Yeah, so do I.
Do you want to take it away with our next player?
Sure. Our next player is
Sigh.
Sionia, but she goes by Sai. Hewley, 30, lives in Simi Valley, California. So that is just outside of Los Angeles. I know that because I've been to Simi Valley, California to see the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library. But she's from Philadelphia. So she's moved from the East Coast to the West Coast, says she wants to be on Survivor for uh, representation. I've been playing the Reputation album today while I was working and I almost said the completely wrong thing. Sorry about that, guys. So she says she wants to see younger women of color be on television. Um, she the I mean, based on that, I think it makes perfect sense. She says that she identifies the most with Marianne and Andrea, who both fit into that category and spoke about the exact same issues. Um, Favorite hobbies, she likes hiking, scrapbooking, volleyball, swimming, vision boarding, ceramics. So both the athletics and the autistics. So that's an interesting combination.
Yeah, best of both worlds there.
She says pet peeves are people who say not to be offensive, but something tells me that she may not she may clash with people that are different than her when I read something like that.
I feel like she's gonna get offended easily, honestly.
Yeah, I do as well. Um, she says one thing we'd never know from looking at her is that she was in the off-Broadway performance of The Lion King. I
Oh,
did not
that's
know there
cool.
was an off-Broadway performance of The Lion King, but that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, and she says that she'll be the sole survivor because her social skills are unmatched. So that kind of contrasts with what I thought from an earlier answer, but we'll see how she plays.
Yeah, we will. I also, one of her pet peeves is people who pronounce the word salmon incorrectly. I didn't know there was an incorrect way to pronounce that. I'm guessing it's just pronouncing the L.
Probably. I've never heard of that, but
But that
okay.
does remind me of another person I know who pronounces the name of a fish weirdly, and that is that my dad refers to tuna as tuna.
Interesting. I've
And
never
it
heard of
makes
that
me
either.
laugh every time I hear it because he's the only person I've ever heard say it that way, and I have no idea why he calls it that. But for as long as I can remember, he calls it tuna.
Interesting.
Sure, that's the word for it.
All right, so moving on next, we have Joe Hunter. You were right, a third Californian on this cast
Oh,
from West
many.
Sacramento. Um, this was funny because I guess my mind just isn't quite in the new era yet. He says the previous player he identifies the most with is Cody for being well rounded and loved. And I had to go, who's Cody? Candace Cody
No, Cody from 43, but
from
I don't
43.
remember him
Yeah.
being that loved.
Yeah, I don't remember that. He wants to be a part of Survivor because of his sister, who was a big Survivor fan. And this is a sad story, but his sister passed away as a result of domestic violence.
Oh
So
no.
he wants to play for her. He
That's so
says that
sweet.
she asked him to apply over 10 years ago, and he didn't think there was any chance he'd ever get on, so he didn't do it, but decided to do it in her memory and ended up on the show.
Yeah, that is so cool. And I
That
love
is.
that story. And I'm sure we're going to hear more about that story from
Oh,
him
I'm
on the show.
sure.
If we don't, I'm going to be mad at production for not including it.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Biggest hobbies that he likes is taking his family to the pool, dance parties with his kids. He's from Sacramento, so he says going to Lake Tahoe, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Short drive to one of the most beautiful places in the US. Um,
The accomplishment he's most proud of is being a good dad. I love to see
nice.
that. Um, yeah. So, yeah, I really like him a lot.
And then why he'll be the sole survivor, he says both with his sister and with his dad unexpectedly passing away, that he's been through so much loss and struggle in life that he thinks he can overcome anything. So Survivor is just the next step.
I love that. Moving forward, we have Camilla Carthagesu. Sorry to you for pronouncing your last name incorrectly, probably. Hometown Toronto, Canada. Current residence Foster City, California.
She's not a real Californian.
She still has it listed, and I'm still counting it.
I
But
am not counting it for obvious reasons. We need some Canadian representation on the cast.
if she goes out first or early, are you still claiming her, or are you
Of
gonna
course.
claim her as Callie then?
Hey, if you get onto the show, you're in the top 18 people out of 15,000 or so.
Fair enough. But you also just had a really strong Canadian last season, so don't be greedy.
That is very true. We had a Canadian who should have gone further
Well, yes, but
in 50.
let me find it. Player she identifies with is Marianne, which we've seen a few of these. That answer's been growing the past couple seasons
Yeah.
because Marianne was her fun, goofy self out there, and she wants to play like as much as I love to play a dominant game like Tony. Think she'll end up playing like Erica.
So if she's giving us the names Marianne and Erica side by side, I'm just going to say she might be from California right now. Camilla thinks of herself as Canadian.
I
She's
forgot.
given the name of two Canadian winners as the two players
I
she would
forgot.
play like.
I forgot Marianne was also Canadian.
Yep, Ajax, Ontario.
But Tony,
She said she would like to play like Tony. She didn't say she will.
fair enough. Play like Tony on the Traders.
Yeah, don't do that.
To be honest, he wasn't even that bad on Traders. He just made
The
a.
tr- the Traders always has people go early who don't play badly at all.
It's
They're
not
just
like.
targeted for nothing. It's part of that game that doesn't really translate over to like this game or to the challenge or to Big Brother or to Amazing Race.
Yeah, and it. Traders Tony was better than Game Changers Tony, who was just chaos everywhere in every direction.
Yeah, agreed.
So
This I find hilarious because she says pet peeves is people who say, "Can I ask you a question?" without actually asking the question until they respond. One of my pet peeves, as you see on this show, is people calling me unannounced to ask questions without being like, "Are you free?" So we're the complete opposite here,
nice.
which is just funny. Um, Accomplishments she's most proud of. She says paying her parents' mortgage and becoming a financial safety net for her extended family. And she watched her parents sponsor and house many of the siblings, immigrants, oh, sorry, siblings, parents, nieces, and nephews as they moved as immigrants to Canada. Got my lines wrong again. Welcome to me doing tribal council chat after I finished work for the day and I've been up since 7 a.m.
Yeah. How dare you work before you do this? Get
Get my priorities straight. That is called buying a house, similar to her answer.
Yeah.
Um, Favorite hobbies is video games. She said she had to quit something called Maple Story cold turkey because when she got the call for, I guess she means the call for Survivor because she had an addiction. I have no clue what Maple Story is. People are probably laughing at me right now because I'm old, but in my mind, video games is like FIFA and NHL and NF Madden, and that's about it.
I only play sports games. I know of some other games. I've never heard of Maple Story though. So
Yeah,
I play sports games and I've played one Star Wars game and I have a new system now. So I'm
Nice.
about to go try to find another Star Wars game at some point. So
And then why she'll be the sole survivor? She says people won't perceive her as a threat because she's 5'1", and as she says, has a shit vocabulary. So therefore isn't gonna speak like a lawyer.
yeah, her pet peeves. This is funny to me. Let me. Oh, I just had it. People who message me hello or can I ask you a question without actually asking their question
That's
until
what
I
I was
respond.
just talking about.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
That was funny.
Sorry, I must have missed you saying that.
Oh, no problem. I was saying that I'm the complete opposite of her. I hate when my friend asks me random stuff in the middle of our show or in the middle of anything else I'm doing without knowing if I'm even free or not.
No, I will mostly. I'm a pretty normal texter unless it's with my mom. I will just text my mom sometimes, whatever pops into my head.
Yeah.
But yeah, while we're on the topic of texting, yesterday I was eating a can of ravioli for lunch. I thought my mom texted me and asked what I was eating for lunch, so I sent her a text that said ravioli. She did not ask me what I was having for lunch. And so she, I think she texted me back lasagna or something and said, are we just randomly naming Italian foods? I said, you asked me what I had for lunch. And she said, no, she didn't. So that's about my relationship with texting my mother is it's whatever pops into my head, and sometimes it's answering questions that no one asked of me. So, yeah. Next up, though, we have David Kinney. He's 39, hometown Long Beach, California, current residence Buena Park, California. He's a stunt performer. That's really cool.
Yeah, that is interesting. Probably the first of that job title we've had on this show.
Yeah. Makes me think of that movie, The Fall Guy, from last year, where Ryan Gosling played a stunt guy. Three words to describe himself are passionate, daring, and curious. Why does he want to be a part of Survivor? He says, I believe my background will give me an advantage in the game in many ways. I have gained confidence through my accomplishments, and I seek the adventure, experience, and validation. I would do well. I love challenges, and to me, this show seems as if it could challenge me in ways I have not yet been. I love that. That's a great mindset of wanting the challenge, wanting to face something hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, that is very interesting that and I mean, it makes perfect sense too from a stunt performer that things that are hard will probably be his biggest advantage in this game. I really like that he compares himself to Jonathan in this perspective.
Well, that sort of. He says other people compare him to Jonathan, and there are similarities.
Okay,
But truthfully, I cannot think of a player that I would be like.
that's fair.
Though, admittedly, I have not seen every season. So, what do you value in an alliance partner? He says kindness. This is a ruthless game at times. Feelings will be hurt, tears will be shed, and at some period, betrayal will hit. But honoring knowing someone is genuine. But yeah, honoring knowing someone is genuine in their kindness makes trusting them easier. That's a smart line of thinking.
Yeah, it is. Um,
So
um, favorite hobbies. This is interesting. I mean, it makes sense for a stunt performer, but he says flying, riding, jet skis, diving, gaming, playing board games. So I mean, he's clearly, well, one, not afraid of anything. He's gonna be probably a great physical player in this game and place an importance in there. Who knows how that leads you to get targeted, but I could certainly see him being somebody that's used to coming up with just wild ideas and maybe taking some big risks in this game.
For sure. And so next up, we have Thomas Crottinger. He's 34. Hometown is the Woodlands, Texas. Current residence is Los Angeles, California. Again, another California. He is a music executive who describes himself as outgoing, emotional, and loyal. And this might be the one that stuck out to me a lot with this answer here. Because I always look at the previous player's question. And he says he wants to play like Sophie Clark. The woman has it all: smart, savvy, personable, and knows when to kick it into high gear and when to blend in with the pack. I love that answer.
Yeah, that is a great answer.
That is not an answer you almost ever hear here.
No, you're right.
I think Sophie is a really underrated player. So
She's definitely an underrated player. I honestly thought for the longest time that Sophie was going to win Winners at War.
that's because when she got voted out, she was in the best position.
She was. And if she does win that game, you probably see it more frequently.
Yeah. But
But I
thing
think
that
South Pacific just goes so unrecognized compared to other seasons just because of the culture surrounding that season and how it's not really enjoyable to watch, and that diminishes Sophie's win a bit.
I think so. The brilliance of Sophie's game is that her big move, her big resume thing was that she didn't make a big move, that she knew her alliance was what her best path to the end was. So she kept her alliance together and kept them from making big, outlandish moves whenever they'd get antsy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. On his favorite hobbies, he says The Real Housewives, homemade ice cream, reading, cold brew, and my dogs. It's another guy that has dogs. I love that.
And a guy who says he's a fan of the Real Housewives. Is this a trader's audition already?
Maybe. Pet peeves: being late, traffic, and losing to UCLA. So he must be a fan of USC college football, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, I don't like him now, if that's the case.
I'm guessing USC. I can't think of anyone that thinks of UCLA as that big of a rival.
Yeah,
But
but
something we
unless he means basketball.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not basketball. Let me read this. Something we wouldn't know from looking at him is that he is a major sports fanatic and college football is one of his favorite things in
Oh,
the
there we
world.
go.
Yeah. So I'm guessing he lives in LA, right?
Yeah, he definitely
Yeah, it's got to
USC,
be.
but I mean, hey, at least he mentioned UCLA and he didn't say losing to Notre Dame.
Yeah, that
Then I
probably
would have to
doesn't happen
dislike him
often.
more.
That probably doesn't happen often enough for it to be a pet peeve.
That's true. I don't know about that. It's happened quite a bit lately.
I don't know. I don't follow that rivalry. I legitimately just wanted to see how you'd react. And your original reaction was to just go with it. So I'm kind of disappointed.
Well, when I grew up and started watching Notre Dame, we would lose to them all the time. This decade's been better.
When I was growing up in like the late 2000s, early 2010s, it was like when Pete Carroll was the coach at USC and they
Yep,
were the team.
that
And
was
they
it.
haven't been the same since he left.
No, they haven't.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see this guy. I love that he wants to play like Sophie. And he's a music executive, so maybe he can give Ben Katzman's brand a record label deal.
That would be interesting.
Next, you want to take it away with the
Yeah.
next deal?
Next, we have Kevin Lung, who's 34, also from California. What's new? He is a finance manager. He says he started watching Survivor during Cook Islands and saw Yule win, and that was his inspiration to apply. I'm guessing by the last name that Kevin, just like Yule, is also Korean American.
Yeah.
Um, he says he worked as a greeter at Abercrombie and Finch when he was younger. Um, David versus Goliath is his favorite season, so he identifies with all of the Davids there: Christian, Nick, Davey. He also says people would like to play like Caleb from 45, so dropping the new era in there.
Yeah.
In his as an alliance partner, he values someone who's flexible enough to look at all options but not wavering. That's interesting. That's a very good balance to have.
It is.
Um, he's most proud of getting his MBA and graduating at the top of his class. That's interesting. I mean, a lot of academics in this cast, but not everybody. So that makes me wonder if we might start to see like the grad students against everybody else at some point, just based on the way that people in those kind of circles socially interact with the world around them.
Yeah, for sure. I will say, for favorite hobbies, he says tennis, Barry's boot camp, and escape rooms. What is Barry's boot camp?
I can tell you because Michelle Fitzgerald and Olivia Casu have gone to Billy's boot camp online. It is this like a bunch of challengers do it. It's this like really high level fitness routine.
Huh. Okay.
But I always see like the whole cast of the challenge put every single one of them does this pretty much, except for like Amanda Garcia, who's just there to start fights.
Well, yes, get her on House of Villains and get her on the Traitors. But I can just imagine that woman in the Traitors turret. But yes, I need that now. As much
Yeah,
as I don't like her, that would be great.
that would be great.
But shout out to the challengers, especially the two you mentioned, Michelle Fitzgerald, Olivia Kaiser. And so I now know what Barry's boot camp is. Okay.
Um, he says he doesn't have children of his own, but he likes to help kids. So he's volunteered with people that are mentally and physically handicapped. He volunteered at an orphanage in Ghana, Africa, which is really interesting. Um, and why he'll be the sole survivor because he says he has the winning combination: athletic, social, and smart. We've heard that how many thousand times?
Yeah.
And I mean, it's important, but I makes me question of is he thinking at all about his own game?
Yeah. We shall see.
Yeah. Guess what? We have somebody who's from one of the other 49 states as our next player.
Whoa!
This is Cedric McFadden. He is from South Carolina and is a surgeon.
His hometown is Columbia, South Carolina, which I refer to as the other Columbia. Because my favorite college sports team, the University of Missouri, plays in Columbia, Missouri. And the University of South Carolina is in the same conference and plays in Columbia, South Carolina. So
That's funny.
I call Columbia, South Carolina the other Columbia.
And we were just speaking about the challenge from season 40. Emily Schromm is from Columbia, Missouri.
Nice. I think I knew that, but I forgot that. We need
Um,
Missouri on the challenge. We need more Missouri on Survivor. But
yes.
I am happy to read Cedric's thing here because I had forgotten that other states existed after all these either hometown or current residencies being from California. I legitimately feel like half the cast has listed California.
I mean, if no other states existed, We would be in a very different situation across the world in the last 2 months, but
Hell, yeah. Thank goodness the other states do exist. But based alone on this cast release, it felt like they didn't.
yeah. So Cedric says that he has had the experience to prepare him for the game is finishing a 5 year surgical residency. It's very long, but his work is the difference between life and death for the patient. It he says it requires you in surgery to dig deep and prepare yourself to help somebody else. That is like Jeff Lingo right there.
Oh my gosh, I love Dig Deep has to be on purpose.
A
And
100%.
even if it wasn't, I'm choosing to believe it was. I do like that he said Earl Cole
Yeah.
for who he wants to play with. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
Winner of one of your very favorite seasons.
I do like Earl, even though I'm not a big fan of Survivor Fiji.
Like me, I like Sheehan even though I don't like Thailand.
Yeah. It's mostly the four younger guys that just ruined that season.
Yeah, Rocky's not good.
No,
What's her name? Cassandra got to the end and really didn't do anything.
no,
Lacey, she's not good either.
no.
This,
Um,
it's my second to least favorite season. So I'm
Interesting.
kind of with you on that. Like just you dislike it a little bit more than me. But yeah, and
His pet peeves is considered tardiness. I've never heard that term used by an American before, which is interesting.
I've heard it in school. You get a tardy if you show up late to class.
Okay, Quebec French references are now used across the United States.
Yeah, tardies and truant
Um,
like middle school and high school, probably even elementary. If you were tardy to class a certain number of times, you got in trouble.
fair.
I
Uh,
never was, but
oh, I'll tell you a funny story about college right after the podcast.
oh, nice.
Um, the accomplishment he's the most proud of is completing his medical school. I kind of figured that. Um, he says one thing that we'd never know from looking at him is that he can get lost for hours doing mundane tasks. I wonder this is interesting because if he can get lost for hours doing mundane tasks, I could see Cedric as being like the camp life player in this cast who could just do a lot of stuff around camp and therefore be well liked. I could also see him being the player who can focus enough to just stumble across objects in the jungle that help you play the game.
Yeah, I agree. That is awesome. I could see that completely. And why he'll be sole survivor, he says his whole life has prepared him. So that's specific, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't wait to see Cedric play. I think he's going to be a lot of fun.
We got another player next who isn't from California.
Whoa, two in a row.
2-0.
Nice.
So this is Charity Nelms. She is originally from Michigan, but now lives in St. Petersburg, Florida. That is near Tampa, so this makes sense because I've seen her um video, and she says she's a flight attendant. She works for Spirit Airlines, that's based in Tampa or has a
Yeah.
hub in Tampa. So she probably works out of that airport. I had to laugh at this being a travel agent. She says one experience that prepared her for the game is being a flight attendant. I deal with hundreds of different personalities. She says my job is playing Survivor in a metal tube up in the sky.
I read that and I laughed. I like her a lot so far.
Yeah.
I'm finding this. The
This was the
Survivor.
previous player that I just did not get.
before you
I
get to that,
Yeah, go ahead.
quote from her, the Survivor Instagram page posted like quotes from the new cast.
Oh, I have to check that out.
They're just kind of random. But this is my middle school gym teacher made me play floor hockey with the boys because I was too rough for the girls.
So maybe her and Eva will have something in common.
Yeah, I had to double check it earlier when you said we're talking about Eva. I'm like, wait a minute, was this who I was reading about? So, would love to see it. Would love to see a girls' alliance of girls that have played with boys hockey.
Yeah,
So, what charity values in an alliance partner is loyalty and honesty, but also just someone who is fun to play the game with.
I like that. That's a lot of times too, just how I approach like when we do a line blindside first boot. I
Yeah.
You've probably noticed this. I don't always take the most obvious answer, but I also put a weight on like who do I want to be on a deserted island in Fiji with for a month.
Yeah. So that is, yeah, that's fun. And you want to take it away with her combination of who her favorite players?
Sure. This is the Sue. Remember how in Micronesia that James said I'm not the dumbest player before? This is Sue giving Charity the crown of the most oddball combination of players that we've ever got in this interview. And
It's
she
so
says
weird.
Tony Vlachos and Jane from Nicaragua. What?
I forgot Jane existed until I read this yesterday. And
I mean, I'm lost. I can't wait to see how this plays out in episode 1 and over the season as long as she makes it in the game, first episode or last episode, but that's just bizarre.
I really need to find a YouTube highlight reel of Jane. I don't remember her game that well. So,
Um, I'm laughing because this has happened to me coming on an Air Canada flight from Los Angeles to Toronto. She says her pet peeves is people who don't use headphones in public and blast their music or their phone on full volume. I'm guessing she probably has people that blast their music on planes when nobody wants to hear it.
yeah, when she's playing Survivor on a big metal tube up in the sky. She's
What
hilarious.
accomplishment is she most proud of? She says she lost 100 pounds.
Wow, that's
That's takes
awesome.
a lot of work because I'm trying to lose like 20 and it ain't going so well.
That is fantastic. I'm proud of her for that.
And she also says that she can sing, which is something we wouldn't know from looking at her.
And the way she answered this isn't just I can sing, it's your girl can sing. Not your girl, your girl. Why? She's hilarious. I love her answers. She's making me laugh.
Interesting.
The Tony and Jane, I don't know what to do with other
I
than just that
don't
makes me smile.
get that at all,
I
but
also just love when people pull out names like Jane that are just
that
you
you
have to be a
totally
big
forgot
fan.
about.
No, it's not just the Tony Parvati. We haven't seen Parvati on this yet, by the way. That
No,
we
we have not. I don't know if she comes up at all. Um, Next we have Justin. He is a pizzeria manager at a family business called Luigi's in Massachusetts.
yes. I want pizza now. So thank you, Justin, for doing that to me.
And he's also from Winthrop, Mass. So I want a Red Sox fan on this cast, and I think I might have one.
Is Winthrop close to Boston?
All of Massachusetts is diehard Red Sox fans.
Well, nobody's perfect, I guess. But on the former player question, he says he's always been a big fan of Tyson. Says that Tyson possesses a unique combination of intelligence, athleticism, wit, determination, and humor, and hair. Can't forget the hair. If
And
I
for
can
those of you
emulate
listening and not Well, I mean, even if you're watching, it's just us. We're just not on screen. Um, Justin has very long hair.
Yeah. He says if I can emulate even a fraction of Tyson's approach, I can make a deep run. That's a good answer. He explains it well. Tyson's not a name you hear on here very often.
Yeah, you're right. Wow. This is fascinating to me. He was the youngest legislative aide in the history of the Massachusetts State House.
Wow.
As someone who worked for a member of the Canadian cabinet when I was 19 years old, that is very interesting. He says he just wanted to help his boss any way he could, but looking back at it, it was neat to be in the highest levels of politics as a teenager.
That is cool. I love that actually.
He may Justin may be a risk taker in this show because he says his favorite hobby is one of them that he lists is horse racing. And as we know, in horse racing, it's a gambling sport, not so much a spectator sport.
Yeah. So we will see. I'm interested to see Justin. He seems like he could be a fun personality to watch.
Yeah,
Possibly a good player at the game also.
absolutely.
And so next up we have Bianca Roses. Cool last name. She is from West Orange, New Jersey, is her hometown. Currently lives in Arlington, Virginia. She's a consultant. She describes herself as bold, friendly, and enthusiastic.
I mean, I already said that I considered Camilla as Canadian based on her hometown. Just to help Bianca out a bit, I'm going to consider her New Jersey and not Virginia because Virginia is not a survivor state. New Jersey is the survivor capital of America.
For now. Well, if she? What if she wins? She could be the first Virginia winner, maybe. I don't know. I'm not. Maybe we've had a Virginia winner. She can create.
Not, I'm not sure if Cochran lived in Virginia or in Washington D.C. at the time he won.
Close enough.
Yeah,
What's funny is you and me both kind of say it's like you mentioned earlier. Someone naming two winners was a little optimistic to base your game off of.
and she takes that to the next level.
She lists four: Dee, Kenzie, Mary, and Michelle.
Okay, I can forgive that because she said the name Michelle.
That's still four winners. That's a high bar you're setting for
And
yourself.
it's also four winners who made the final tribal council in the last 8 seasons and who won in the last, I guess, 16 seasons. So I'm not sure how old school Survivor her knowledge goes to.
I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
And
I would guess if she gives these four players that she probably is a COVID era Survivor fan and
yeah,
started around Winners at War. And the new era might be her game, whereas most of us are not as excited about it as she is.
yeah. What she values in an alliance partner is the vibes. She says someone who I can genuinely connect with, can work with, can laugh with, can brainstorm with, and can be cutthroat with. And then in parentheses put not someone I can trust because I won't trust anyone.
Smart.
This is an awesome answer.
I think my prediction is right. She talks about her favorite hobbies, talking to people how much she loves the state of New Jersey and going to the Jersey Shore and Italian cards and cooking delicious meals with her boyfriend. I don't know why she lives in Virginia. She is New Jersey all the way through.
You know, I read that after trying to defend Virginia, and my thought was, I hope he doesn't notice this. But if she's claiming New Jersey, I'll give that to her. It's their choice.
I mean, who wouldn't claim the home state of Michelle, Tony, and Natalie?
Well, I guess. But pet peeves are indecisiveness and mean people. I don't think she'd like me. I'm very indecisive sometimes. I'm not mean though, so got that going for me.
Biggest inspiration, I'm laughing now only because I read her answer totally wrong.
Oh no.
She says her Nona John and her Nona Nina. She's speaking Italian there. She says her grandfather would take the clothes off his back for a complete stranger. I read that as my grandfather would take his clothes off for a complete stranger and was like, what is going on here?
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Why she's going to be the sole survivor? She says she's been practicing and honing her skills her entire life. Her successful career in public relations has given her the tools that she needs to win people over, spin a story, and that she never takes anything personally and keeps going.
nice.
PR is not for the faint of heart, and neither is Survivor.
Yeah, that's very
That
good
does
point.
seem like it'd be a good job that would translate to this game.
Absolutely. All right. Next, we have Chrissy Sonowski. Um, she is from, notably, as she says, the south side of Chicago. So probably a White Sox fan. I guess that's a little bit of relief for you on the Chicago department.
It's still Chicago. I still booed in my mind when I heard the word Chicago.
Hey, it's where you had the best survivor night of your life, so you can't hate on it too much.
I mean, I still can. St. Louis and Chicago have this weird little rivalry between them that's
Fair.
hard to explain, but that was
Wendell's got to do a Bryson One presents in St. Louis next time.
they do.
Oh, really?
No, I meant they do need to.
Oh, they do need to. Yeah.
I would be all over that. And if they do Chicago again next year, I'll go.
Nice.
I still boo in my head when I hear the word. So,
Um, she is a firefighter. She says the player that she identifies the most with is Carolyn. I don't know if I want someone who identifies with Carolyn Uyghur being tasked with saving my life in a burning building.
hey, Carolyn made it to the end in this game and is playing really well in another game.
Oh, she is. And I think she's playing even better in that game right now.
Yeah,
We'll see how it ends.
yeah.
Um,
Check out Roundtable Talk.
yeah, absolutely. That will be up probably Sunday or Monday this week.
Yeah,
Um, favorite hobbies. She loves working out. She also loves cardio, but also likes to eat junk food, so makes it equal out. Okay.
yeah. That's good.
Um, pet peeves, someone who doesn't wipe off the gym equipment and leaves it all sweaty. Yeah, that's disgusting.
Yeah, I've heard my mom complain about that numerous times over the years. I'll have to text her that this was someone's answer when we stop recording. Huh.
And biggest inspiration in life, she says herself. She says she came from growing up being in a family and social assistance to now having a top role with the fire department that she had to work for and supporting her son without having a husband around.
That is awesome. I can't wait to see her play.
Yeah.
Next up, we
This
have
is interesting. We have a player whose hometown is not in Canada or the United States, something we've only got a few times before.
her current residence is here, though.
Yes, absolutely. You do have to have a Canadian or American passport to be on Survivor.
Yeah.
But this is fascinating. I think that this person, I'll let you take it away, but is the first player on Survivor to be from Africa. originally. Well, no, Jillian was from South Africa. So the second.
Yeah. Where was NECA from?
Uh, New Jersey.
Ah, I was off. Okay, I was close. Um, Not really. This is Star Toomey. Hometown Monrovia, Liberia. Current residence Augusta, Georgia. Occupation is she is a not a saleswoman, a sales expert. I don't know what the difference is, but she says
Yeah,
sales expert. I haven't seen it listed like that before.
I haven't either.
3 words to describe herself: hilarious, smooth, and laugh out loud funny. That laugh out loud funny. That's 4 words that they counted as 1 word there. And also laugh out loud funny and hilarious kind of mean the same thing. So Star feels very highly about her sense of humor, I guess. So can't wait to watch her. And life experience that prepared her for the game, experiencing the death of her father. She says she's chasing her dream, believing in herself, and living and enjoying life as her dad would have wanted. The name of the game is No Regrets.
Nice.
Previous player she identifies the most with slash wants to play with. I identify most with a mix of Mary Ann and Sandra Diaz Twine.
Hmm.
Goofy but serious. I know how to handle business while having a good time. We're getting so many Mary Anns on this year.
Yeah, as somebody who was not a fan of Marianne's at all, I don't know what to think about this cast.
Yeah. What she values in
She
a
was
life.
just a bit too over the top for me on 42.
I don't have a problem with her. I would have given my jury vote to Mike, but that's
Yeah,
nothing against her.
absolutely.
What Star values in an alliance partner is loyalty and honesty. Says if I can't trust my alliance partner even just a little, that means we should not be in an alliance,
That is true.
which is smart. Favorite hobbies are watching TV shows and movies. I think of myself as a TV slash movie expert. I know all the hits. Good for you. That's cool.
Yeah.
Pet peeves are teeth grinding, bugs that buzz, Beyonce haters, and Harry Potter haters. There's a lot of bugs that buzz.
Yeah, there certainly are a lot of bugs that buzz. Um, Harry Potter haters, I've never really heard of that being a thing, but interesting. I'm definitely not a Beyonce hater. That being said, if we get to Sunday before we film our next episode and Cowboy Carter beats the Tortured Poets department for Album of the Year, I might become one. So look out, Star.
I don't hate Beyonce. I just think she's overrated.
Fair.
But that this isn't a music podcast, so I don't need to go down that rabbit hole. Uh,
Uh, Something that we would never know from looking at her is that she's actually really shy. I don't know how that is going to play in this game.
the person that described themselves basically said she was really funny for 2 of her 3 words
Yeah.
is shy. And for the third word said she was smooth. All right, this was her. Yeah. That seems to contradict, but okay.
It does seem to contradict.
I'm now curious to see how that's going to work. So next up we have Mary Zhang, who's from
And Mary is the last player on this cast.
hometown of Montgomery Village, Maryland, current residence Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She's a substance abuse counselor.
So that's interesting because that's maybe another possible dynamic where earlier we saw somebody who worked in the youth criminal system.
Oh, that's true.
And now we see somebody who's probably who we see someone who's a substance abuse counselor and somebody else who probably has a lot of experience dealing with teenagers with severe drug addictions.
Yeah. 3 words to describe herself are chaotic, dynamic, and thoughtful. She's been part of the Peace Corps and AmeriCorps and hitchhiked across the Mediterranean.
How do you hitchhike on a place where there's no roads? I don't get this. She must have meant that she like asked somebody if she can join the yacht or something, but
Just
I
stand, just
I just
stand on
went
a buoy in the middle of the ocean like this until a boat pulls up with your thumb up.
I I just went in the um Mediterranean for 12 nights on a cruise ship. I can assure you there is no cars there and no highways.
There's boats.
Yeah, very
Just
there's
stand
a
in
lot
the
of them,
ocean
but
with your hitchhiking thumb up, and some boat will pull up eventually.
eventually, very few and far between.
And I don't know what you're standing on. Maybe bring a float, one of those like unicorn floaties or something. But
Bring a paddleboard so you can at least somehow get your way there if there's no boats.
I'm very impressed that she found a way to hitchhike across water, though. That's cool.
That is.
Also, I've heard of the Peace Corps. What is AmeriCorps?
I got no clue.
Like, guess what I'm looking up when we
I
finish
was just
recording?
going to say.
That and hitchhiking across water, which I don't want to look up. I just want it to be what I'm thinking of in my head, and I don't want to know anything different. So, previous player, she says Ben. I'm assuming this is Ben Gruberman.
AmeriCorps is a federal agency for national service and volunteerism supporting disaster recovery.
So it sounds similar to the Peace Corps, but okay.
Yeah,
Probably different companies that do the same thing.
probably.
Previous player, she says Ben. I'm assuming this is Ben Drebergen, not Ben Katzman. Because
More than
although he was
likely.
pinned as a threat, his relentless gameplay, absolutely not Ben Katzman. Even though Ben Katzman is my favorite Ben between the two. His
But
relentless,
relentless gameplay in Shody was never voted out. No, a sign that said dig in Shody was never voted out. So
I mean,
absolutely not Ben Driglogan either.
I'm not Ben's biggest fan, but like he played the game he was dealt.
Oh,
Like
he did. I'm
it's
just
not.
joking because I know um,
Oh, Kevin.
Kevin is going to be listening to this.
I forgot Kevin listened. Absolutely, Ben only won because of his idols. Without idols, Ben would have gone home first, Stephen. Am I doing this right? I'm gonna get a text about this probably.
Yeah, tomorrow morning.
He says he also would play like Kenzie, who went to every reward because by nature I'm a very social butterfly. I will fit around providing comfort and care and laughter. I lost it. Comfort and care and laughter to my tribe mates. And an alliance partner values the ability to shut off your emotions in favor of what's best logistically or strategically. I can't have an alliance partner popping off at someone we need for numbers, thereby potentially alienating them or wanting to vote out a shield just because they want revenge.
I got to read this biggest inspiration because this is just fascinating.
Ooh,
Um, she says everyone says her parents and she's no different, but it's not just because they're her mom and her dad. Her mom and dad helped lead the 1989 Tiananmen Square protest for democracy in Beijing, China. Her
whoa,
mom was arrested for 9 months in a Chinese prison, and her dad managed to evade the communists despite a national search by the Chinese security services for him. That is amazing.
wow, that is crazy.
She says that both her parents were forced to seek political asylum in the United States, or they would have been executed in China.
That is crazy. There's so many cool backstories on this season.
Oh, there are.
I know some people criticize the new era because it's all too many backstories or this or that. I want to hear about all of these.
Oh, I do too. I think that it wasn't ever so much that there was quote too many backstories. And I don't mean this wrong to anybody who might be listening that was affected by it, but just I think 41 and 42 had too many pandemic related backstories that all of us were sick and tired of living through lockdown at the time.
Yeah.
And that was probably where that came out. I think a lot of these stories that are like, you're the only person we could find who would ever experience this, the audience is fine with getting into, but it was more the place of in society where people's mental states were in like 2022, 2023, coming out of that time period.
Yeah. So
At
before
least that's what I've picked up from some podcasts is it's like, how many times are they going to mention COVID today? Hopefully zero.
just do their confessionals wearing a face mask.
Oh God, no.
Make
Please.
everyone on the island wear masks at all times.
That is called how I turn off the TV and to skip the season.
Yeah, we don't need to dive into the masks rabbit hole on the air on this
No.
show, but it was a funny visual in my head.
Yeah.
So before we get into a line blindside first boot, one of both of our favorite questions on these, and our good friend Steven posted this question. So I'll ask it to you. We've talked about this, but not on the show. What Survivor player would you play like if you were on the show?
I'm going to combine two, like a lot of these people do.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna say Tony and Jane also?
No. Michelle and Stephen Fishback.
Nice.
What about you?
You wanna like explain that a little bit or
Um, Michelle's ability to play from the middle, work with everybody, and get along with her whole tribe, no matter what the differences were, with Steven's ability to really know Survivor strategically and make moves one at a time that he was clearly thinking about the whole game almost as if it was a soccer match.
you called it soccer.
I'm speaking to an audience that we've ran the analytics of. It's like 90% Americans that listen to us. If I call it football, which is the proper term, then we will be in a situation where people think that I'm talking about Buffalo and Kansas City last weekend again, which I still have to make a bet for you at the end of this show.
I forgot about that. By the way, you weren't looking at the camera. So for Brett and for the audience listening on audio, not on YouTube, when he said proper term, I did air quotes.
I saw.
Oh, well, it looked like you were looking to the side. I couldn't
I'm
tell if you.
looking where my face is on the screen, but it's kind of off. I keep forgetting that.
No, you're fine. Okay. I couldn't tell if you saw it or not, but the audio audience, he said proper term, my proper term, air quotes. And again, I'm not a big enough fan of the sport to really care either way. It's just a funny little joke we have going back and forth that we argue about this for no reason.
Yeah.
No, but as for me, who I'd play like though, it's one player, and those of you that listen to me on the show might be surprised that it's not an older player. It's a new school era player, and it's
Oh.
Kenzie.
Hmm.
Because not that I'd be terrible strategically or physically, but I'd be heavily socially based. I'm a very social person. One of my biggest strengths is building bonds with people and building relationships and genuineness. And that's how Kenzie played, among other
Yeah.
things, was building relationships, like with Ben, like all comforting Ben through the panic attacks and just little things like that here and there. And that's why she won, was because she was very social and she built genuine, kind relationships with people. So that'd kind of be what my game would be based around.
Very smart.
So a line blindside first boot. Who do you have, and why is it three different versions of Jane?
A line blindside first boot. I am going to give you, seeing we joked about it time and time again,
Oh no.
three Survivor players from the state of California today.
Oh, so the entire cast of this season. Nice.
No, they're not from this season because we've never seen them before. Your options are Lauren O'Connell, Joey Manthe, and let me think of someone else. Let's go Adam Klein.
Hmm. I'm gonna first boot Adam. He's too good. He's the only winner here. Easy first boot to get my tribe to rally behind. I'm going to align with Lauren. She's probably my favorite one-time player ever. And so that leads me to blindside Jerry because it's the only option left at this point.
Are you gonna blindside Joey when somebody approaches you at a challenge and says you take care of Lauren and I'll take care of you?
Yes, then I take that person out and reverse the cycle. What about you?
I'm gonna agree with you on those three. I think Adam, like you say, the winner, great player. I mean, all three are great players, but he's won the game before, so it's easy to take out. I'm gonna, like you said, blindside Joey. It's happened before. It can be done, and align with Lauren. I think Lauren would be a very big threat at the end, but all of these players would be a very, very big threat at the end.
Yeah. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You have Bill Posley from One World. You have, let me look up his last name. Butch. What's Butch's last name? Butch Lockley from Amazon and Sarah Jones from Marquesas. And my theme is just trying to think of the most random people I could off the top of my head.
Interesting.
Jane had talking about Jane had me in the moves of just random players you get forgotten and never talked about.
Nice. I am going to first boot Butch before he burns the entire camp down.
He has to
Uh,
keep us warm.
I can keep the tribe warm by building a fire without needing to have a roof over it.
True, but
That
when rain puts the fire out,
that true. That leads me to say that I'm going to align with Bill. Bill seemed like a decent player. He was very good socially. He just got caught up with the wrong character, and nobody wants to get caught up with in a mess with Colton of all people.
how how did that tribe let Colton become the power person that was
I've
calling the
heard
shots?
I've heard rumors that were not on the show, and I kind of get it, but I if they're true, I saw a story online about how Bill didn't quite understand the rules and tried to steal Colton's immunity idol and use it. I can see that pissing off Colton, but he did not need to go anywhere near where he went.
No, but
So
just like in general, that tribe somehow let Colton be the power person who was calling the shots.
that's what happens when you have a season of 18 players. 17 of them are recruits, and the one who's a real fan of this show is named Kim Spradlin. I wonder who won it, by the way. One of the most obvious results from this World Survivors Ready Go on day two.
Alicia was definitely the winner of that season,
Yeah, no.
who's pretty much female Colton as far as just being awful.
Literally.
And the two of I do like the one, not a great season. Again, bad Survivor, still better than most TV. I do like the concept of One World though.
Yeah.
Like
I
both.
saw something online that someone suggested that said the one world twist would have been amazing in Winners at War. And I had to agree with them.
Or with all just almost any other cast.
Yeah. But I
And
mean, specifically, Winners at War, you would have had 20 people who all know each other living on one beach while still being forced to compete against each other. And you would have seen, say, even if it lasted for a day, Rob and Amber being on the same beach and all these past relationships, Tony and Sarah, Jeremy and Natalie,
yeah.
Michelle and Wendell.
That one we got to see play out.
We did, but it's like there would have been so much more interaction that wouldn't have just been arbitrarily decided by production.
Yeah, they made that look really awkward.
Yeah,
I have no idea if it actually was the way they portrayed it or not. I'm guessing it wasn't.
yeah.
But here's I have a theory
All right.
about Survivor 50 now. We've talked about just bringing a whole cast back and running it back.
Yeah.
Survivor 50 is going to be the One World sequel. They're just bringing all of One World back and saying play again.
And Kim will win again because the whole cast loves her.
Well, yes, but
I
maybe,
honestly think
maybe
she
the rest
could.
of the, maybe
I
the
think
rest
she's
of the
the
cast
only,
won't be awful this time.
maybe, but I think Kim is like the only probably winner who you could just bring back and wouldn't just get targeted for being the past winner
Yeah,
because they're just that bad.
that's what Survivor 50 is going to be, though. It's going to be One World, but again, with the same exact cast. Let's do this thing. Let's please not, actually. That's not a very good cast.
Yeah.
So, as for my answers, you first booted Butch,
And
alive
that means that I'm
blindside Sarah,
therefore gonna blindside Sarah. Yeah. I don't
Cleopatra herself.
exactly. We've seen her not do that much around camp. I don't know if how she would play differently in the new era or even in new school. Like I think she would probably, even if she was still the age that she played, be a bit different where Survivor wasn't outdoors man boot camp the way it was in Marquesas.
Hmm.
But hey, that's the season she got on.
The funny thing is, there's a few scenes of like Boston Rob and Sarah flirting,
Yes.
and I just imagine the Mariano household rewatching Australian Outback and like the I Ain't No Chocolate Bar scene where like Amber and Jerry like fantasizing about Colby,
Yeah.
and then rewatching Marquesas with the Rob and Sarah. And I don't think there could be a more awkward 2 seasons for that household to watch,
No, that's for sure.
which is kind of funny to think about. But
Yeah.
it was forever ago anyway, so they probably don't care.
No.
I am going to first boot Sarah and first
Okay.
boot Cleopatra. I'm going to blindside Bill, and I'm going to align with Butch.
Okay.
He seems like a pretty loyal guy.
True.
And I maintain fire shelter was not the bad idea. Leaving your giant pile of firewood right next to the fire was the bad idea.
We may do this may be one of the random survivor topics that we just disagree on.
But also, like, other bad idea, why Butch needed to have a giant pile of firewood that big, who
Yeah.
knows? But I don't think the fire shelter itself was you need to tweak it a little bit, maybe have it be taller. But
Yeah.
gosh, that scene of that fire blazing is just wild. But we're gonna keep a close look on him. Surely he's learned from his past and won't start a second campfire. Not like normal sit around the campfire, like the camp is on fire, giant blaze. This is gonna make me sound like a pyromaniac, but fire is just kind of mesmerizing to watch to me. I
I
do.
thought you were gonna say that and then say fire is your life on the island or some Jeffism.
No, it's not Jeffism. It's just me sounding like a pyromaniac when I say fire is fun to watch.
Yeah.
But this was a fun episode.
This was.
I can't wait for 48. Check all the Reality Realm content out. Check us out. Pit Stop Pals, new next or new
New
generation
Generation
challengers.
Challenge podcast.
Yeah, and Roundtable Talk. Check out the merch store. Grab your torches and head back to camp. Goodbye.
And don't leave.
What?
And don't leave yet, because I have a bet to make up with you.
I forgot about that. I almost hit stop on the recording.
So Bruce and I made a bet last week. His Kansas City Chiefs beat the Buffalo Bills by
Again.
3 points again. I never win this bet, but I keep making it because
Because you
someday
make it in the playoffs. They beat us in the regular season.
the playoffs are what matters.
Uh-huh.
So, in light of your team's most famous fan and someone that I also like, here goes the bridge of my favorite Evermore track, Champagne Problems, on
Mm.
Tribal Council chat. You That's funny. Your modest touch on the Chevy door, November flush, and your flannel cure. This dorm was once a madhouse. I made a joke, well, it's made for me. How evergreen, our group of friends don't think we'll say that word again. But soon you'll have the nerve to deck the halls that we once walked through. One for the money, two for the show. I never was ready, so I watched you go. Sometimes you just don't know the answer till someone's on their knees and asks you. She would have made such a lovely bride. What a shame she's fucked in the head. But you'll find the real thing instead. She'll patch up your tapestry that I shred. That's it. I paid the bet for the final. Even though I'm a Bills fan, I'm also a Taylor Swift fan. Go Chiefs.
Goodbye, everyone.